side, we welcome in now Hal Kempfer, national security analyst, retired Marine intelligence officer, host of the Strat podcast, friend of the show. Hal, looking forward to your take here. So we've got the deadline passing for Hamas to sign this deal. The president saying he wanted that in writing at 5 Central Time, 6 Eastern. We have this post on Truth Social. We read off the top from the president that appeared to indicate talks will continue into tomorrow with the, quote, first phase wrapped up this week. What is all of this signal to you?
Well, Kelly, what it signals is that the deadline has passed. It has been acknowledged it's passed. And based on live feed that I've seen from the Gaza Strip, it looks like Israel is starting to do more strike missions. They went to that deadline and basically said, okay, they didn't sign the agreement yet. And it looks like these could be either more aggressive defensive strikes, or they could be a resumption of some sort of offensive effort. Not sure, but they're going to put a lot more pressure on Hamas to come to a deal. And there's a lot more pressure within the Gaza Strip because there's militias that have been backed by Israel that are actively militarily confronting Hamas. And so there's pressure from all sides for Hamas to come to some sort of deal and to do it very quickly.
How effective do you believe that military activity may be as these talks continue?
It's a sad realization. You would think that Hamas would look at the situation on the ground and just realize they've got to negotiate their way out of it. But the reality is the thing that they seem to really understand is force, military force. And so unfortunately, and that is the calculus, that you're going to have to put military pressure, more military pressure on Hamas to basically to get them to shift their thinking, to realize that whatever they're thinking they're going to accomplish is, at least militarily, is futile.
Well, with this pressure now coming from seemingly all sides, what are you anticipating, Hal, as a timeline moving forward now?
I think this will be a big week. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to see some, probably some stuff. I think, before the end of the week, I think there will be at least a plan put in place that all parties will acknowledge. That doesn't mean it's going to be agreed to, but all parties will acknowledge that would be a strong phase one plan. And potentially we could see hostages being released by the end of the week. I don't want to get over optimistic on that, but I've seen these things happen in the past where it moves kind of quick once they come to an agreement on a certain part. What I don't see coming out this week is a full agreement on disarming Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And I don't think the governance piece, the day after governance plan, or the peacekeeping plan will be completely finished by the end of the week. Not ruling it out, just saying I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about that because just yesterday you mentioned that the biggest obstacles will be the disarmament of Hamas and the governance piece. How much clarity then are you expecting on those issues if a deal does in fact make it across the finish line, say in the near future?
Well, if it makes it across, I really think they've got to work this out. Hamas has got to make that intellectual leap, or that emotional leap in their case, to realize they are not going to be part of the future governance of Gaza. And that's very difficult for them to conceptualize, probably even in many ways more so than the disarmament part. But the disarmament part, once they are disarmed, truly disarmed, they are no longer a terrorist group or a military group or a paramilitary group. Same thing with Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And so they get into something of an existential crisis. What are they? What can they do? They can't rule. They can't fight. What are they? And so for them, it is literally they're negotiating surrender. But what's the other option?
Right. Well, we'll see how much this squeezing, what sort of impact that has in the hours ahead. Hal, thank you very much for hopping on for the breaking news. Appreciate it.
All right. All right. Thank you, Kelly.